What is up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for just even clicking on this video to watch. And today is actually going to be more of a just talking video about a certain topic that I've actually wanted to talk about for some time now. And I wanted to use my YouTube channel as a platform and a medium in order to actually talk about this topic with a specific audience that I'm wanting to reach. Because I know from my experience when I was walking through this season of my life, it was actually a very hard season in my life, and I would get on YouTube and search different, subjects and everything like that to see just if anybody had advice that I could honestly just take from them to try to, just be a sponge and soak it up so I could try to see if there's anything that I could fix in my experience. And so now I'm kind of on the other side of things, and I'm not in that season of life anymore, but I feel like I can speak a lot to that experience and help anybody out there who might be struggling, or who can even relate, and maybe they're not struggling, but they're like, yeah, I can totally understand and see that side of things. And so these are some talking points that I want to talk about, and the topic I am going to discuss today is, that's terrible, drum roll, awful. Literally awful drum roll. The topic that I want to talk today is just about the college athletic experience. So I want to talk about my experience and kind of what I went through, but then I also want to give advice to future, current college athletes, or maybe even, you are after that experience. You were a college athlete, but you've graduated, you've moved on with your life. Maybe some of these points can actually help you in that transition from going from a college athlete to a full-time career. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. I actually wrote some points down on my computer, so if you see me glancing to my left, that is probably what I'm looking at. But I have really been able to reflect over the past couple of years, to be honest, and have really gathered some thoughts about just my own personal experience, things that maybe didn't go as planned, but also things that I could have done differently to handle the situation differently in a better way to make my experience a little bit better. So I don't want to say, man, I wish I could go back and do this, because I'm grateful that God walked me through those experiences and it didn't go as planned, because it led me to a lot of the blessings, and he pruned me, he refined me, and he just did a crazy cool work in my life by having me walk through that experience. But I would say, like, if I were to go back, I would change my mindset on a couple things. I would handle things differently. I would get outside my comfort zone and all that stuff. So if you're watching this video, if you're a college athlete and you're struggling, I'm glad that you're here. If you're a college athlete that's not struggling, I'm still glad that you're here, because you can help those people on your team or in your program that might be walking through some really hard times. And then if you are a wannabe college athlete and you are watching this video, I'm glad you're here, because maybe it could help prepare and equip you for different situations before you even get to the collegiate level. So just really, really grateful for that. I am going to get into the video, so let's get started. All right, so first things first, I am going to talk a little bit first about my experience, and then I have a long list of items. I will probably specifically pick out 5 to talk about, and then maybe in the description of this video I'll write those out. And so if you want to scroll down under the video, there's always a description under YouTube videos. You can actually scroll down and read it, and I'll try to put all the points there and just like some of my thoughts on them. So my college experience. First off, it started with the whole recruiting experience. That's gonna be a whole nother YouTube video, because I have so many thoughts about the recruiting experience and what I went through. And that's just a whole nother video. But I want to just start freshman year, okay? So a little bit, I guess, before that, I was coming into college, and on my recruiting visit, I was very much told, you're gonna be a starter, okay? So like I just felt very valued and seen, and and I heard that, and I didn't just like, okay, yeah, like let it boost my ego. No, I still worked hard. Like that's just, I wasn't raised to, hear that and be like, yeah, let me go tell everybody. I feel like I was raised in a manner of like, okay, you hear that, you still gotta work hard and you're not gonna boast about it. So that's kind of what I was told on my recruiting visit. So when I got to college, I say all that to I guess just relay the message that when I stepped on campus, I already felt like I had a lot of expectations on me as an athlete from my coaches, from my teammates, but also from myself. I just had a lot of expectations for myself and how I should perform and how I should play and what position I should play and if I should be a starter and all of that stuff. So I was walking in with a very high standard on myself, which in the end set me up in some situations to fail. And I did not handle that very, very well. And so in my college athlete experience, I had a great fall. First off, if you didn't watch my testimony video, I played 2 years and then I actually ended up quitting. And so now let's rewind to freshman year. I stepped on campus. I had a great fall. I got to play every single game. I played collegiate softball Division I. And so if you're familiar with collegiate softball, you play a fall season where you're in 20 hours and then you play some exhibition games. You go into 8 hours and then you train really hard in the off season. You come back on campus after winter break. You hit 28 hours hard and then you start your season because we're a spring sport. So I had a really great fall, played every single game, every single exhibition game, felt like I was, doing really, really well, was owning some of the opportunities I was given by coach, was appreciative of the opportunities, felt like in practice, I was starting to gain like some of the quickness because once you go from high school to college, the speed of the game just picks up. And I felt like I was just really like, I guess, developing as a high school, transition into college athlete. I was responding to the coaching well, even though it was different coaching that I have ever faced. It was much harder, okay? So there was no softness around the edges. Our coach is gonna tell you straight and you better figure it out or else you are gonna be benched. Like that's just kind of how it was. And I think that was kind of eye-opening to me. So like in the fall when things were going really well, right? Like I didn't face much opposition. I felt like I was getting along with the coaches. I was performing well. I was getting along with my teammates, everything like that. Life was good. And I was like, dang, if this is what the spring's gonna be like, I am excited. Like college is great. Like it's just fun. And then I will say we went into training. I love training in my college sport. I literally love the weight room. I love their training coach. He was just like so knowledgeable and it was just so much fun to work out with the team. It was so fun to be pushed in different ways, specifically in weightlifting. We did a challenge in the off season that was just super hard and it was like a competition and it was just so much fun. Like I love the weight room. I love that aspect of college athletics. If you're someone that is aspiring to be a college athlete and you're not yet working out, I would highly recommend finding a personal trainer or finding some type of group fitness in your area to where you could start training physically in the gym to prepare. I actually I was doing that since I was in 7th grade and it set me up for success when I got to college. I knew how to perform a lot of the movements. I knew the mechanical aspects, the fundamental aspects of some of the movements, and just I felt like I was in good shape and everything like that. So I loved the training, strength training, and conditioning and performance side of college athletics. So freshman year, we go in winter break, we come back, we start 20 hours, and it is tiring, man. We're getting ready for season, we're hitting it hard. We did the fitness test right when we got back on campus, because we had to retest and you had to make sure that you stayed in shape all winter break. I did fine on that. Didn't do as well as right when I stepped on campus, so I was a little disappointed right when I got back. I still scored really well. It was just, I was disappointed in myself because again, I had these high expectations, high standards. And so when I didn't score as well, I was just instantly like, okay, Jill, you gotta work hard. Like we're not doing this to slack off. You gotta prove yourself and show yourself because you're still a freshman and you still gotta earn your spot. And so went along with 20 hours getting ready for season. I felt like I worked hard. Again, I was getting along with the team, but I will say I was still kind of a freshman that was timid in the sense of approaching seniors. I wouldn't say I had a go-to senior that maybe took me under their belt to just like kind of train me up and, you know, just what it was going to be like in college. And I just felt like some of the other freshmen had better relationships with the people on the team, and I just didn't feel that. So right off the bat, I didn't feel like I had any upperclassmen, I feel like, to go to get some guidance. And that was really hard for me. Not to say that I wasn't clicking with people on the team, because I was clicking with people on the team, but it wasn't I didn't have any relationship or friendship, like tight-knit friendship like I did on some of my select ball teams, where it was literally like we could just look at each other and just know what we were saying. And I had one person on my team, I feel like, in college that I could do that with, but in a lot of aspects I was timid and didn't really feel like I could approach anybody, just like with my honesty, yet at least. Like that was, you know, still, it was just the first part of the second semester, and I just still didn't feel like super tight-knit with anybody. And that could have been very much my fault. Like that could have been very much my fault. So anyway, that was a little bit difficult for me, because especially on your college team and just any team that you're on, you really want to like vibe with the people that you are teammates with, because you're a family. And no matter what, we were a family, but I still just felt timid. I felt like I couldn't be my full self. I couldn't show my full personality. And I think my coach definitely realized that. She even had a couple of conversations with me, just, you know, trying to loosen me up, but still like just didn't feel like I could be my full self, if I'm being completely honest. And so we go about 20 hours, we start season. We honestly got off to a hot start on my freshman season. We were in a couple different tournaments. So you're in off season, or not off season, you're in preseason right when you start your game. So we had a couple different tournaments. We're in the Midwest, so we went to warmer states. You know, we went to the Alabamas of the world, we went to Floridas, and stuff like that. We played some high level competition, like Power 5 schools, like SEC teams. We played some mid-major D1s as well, because we were a mid-major D1. We are mid-major D1. And so we're traveling to these tournaments. We have a hot start. I get to start, and I start out really hot, just in the sense of fielding and defense. I was playing really good defense. Defense is what my game was known for. I was a shortstop. I loved it. I love defense. I felt like that was my element, and I just kind of thrived on the defensive side. Offensive side, I struggled. And that is completely honest. I struggled so hard. I felt like I got to school and my swing didn't fit the mold of my program's hitting philosophy. And that was really hard, because my whole swing had to be changed, and I felt that. And I'm not blaming them by any sense. Those are questions I should have asked in my recruiting visit, and I did not. And I just felt uncomfortable at the plate. I felt non-confident in the plate, not confident at the plate. So if you're a current person that is looking to and seeking opportunities to play in college, really just making sure that you're asking good questions on your recruiting visit with the coaches, and making sure, like, you know, your philosophies don't have to be the same, because obviously there's areas that you need to be coached up on. You're going from high school to college and you want to get better, and these people, like, this is their job, this is their profession, this is what they are a mastermind at. But there is also a sense like you don't want to get to college and feel like everything has to change and you have to start from ground zero, and it's almost like, well, then why was I recruited here? Because it feels as if nothing was right. And I try to have a good mindset about that, but it really got to me. And when you struggle at the plate, or when you're not confident at the plate, you're gonna struggle. And college pitchers especially will take advantage of that weakness. They can see it. They can see it right in your face and your body language, everything like that. So I really struggled offensively. And then early on in the season, I got hurt, and we were playing an SEC team. We were playing Ole Miss, and we actually had a really good game with them. We only lost 1-0, and I got hurt. And it just, like, ever since then, things kind of went down for me in college sports. And I pulled my hamstring, it got really tight, and then as a shortstop, you need to be super quick, especially in college. You need to be able to take angles, and I just felt like since that moment, I lost all my quickness. I entered rehab, I was doing therapy, I was going to see our trainers every single day, but that's kind of when everything kind of switched for me. So we got home from that trip after I got hurt, all this stuff started happening, and when you get hurt in college, not, again, this is a knock on nobody, it's just a different environment. They have other players to fill your role. Like, that's brutally honest. If you get hurt, cool. They have all these other all-stars that were in high school, that were the best on their teams, that were the best in their states, and they're gonna fill your role. You're playing, for me, I was playing Division I, so we had some really great recruits from all over the country. So they had a person to fill my role right away, and that was just debilitating to me. That was deflating, that was frustrating. My relationship with my coach started to get really rocky. We weren't seeing eye to eye. I was getting yelled at because I was hurt and I wasn't coming back. I was constantly asked questions. It felt like there were mind games happening. And again, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus because I actually have a great relationship with my old college coach now. So it was just like, that is just honesty. Players and coaches go through those seasons, and that's what we were going through. We weren't seeing eye to eye. We were, you know, just butting heads, honestly, and it just wasn't a good situation. I started having a lot of anxiety. I wasn't playing at all. I didn't play the rest of my freshman season. And you got to go watch my testimony video. I'll link it down below. But I talk a lot about how this all, you know, all of this coming together and culminating to me developing my relationship with Jesus. And once that happened, I started having a better mindset. But until then, I had a really, really poor mindset. I had a victim mentality. I felt, you know, like I was throwing a pity party for myself. But also just really struggled. I lost 20 pounds. And so I just am saying all this because it is a real thing that college athletes go through these really, really hard seasons where you feel super alone. You're facing all this anxiety. It's not something you dreamed of playing in college, and then you get there and it's not what you thought it was gonna be. And that is so hard, and you feel like you can't talk to anybody about it on your team because your team's like having a great time, your team's winning and everything like that. You don't want to bring them down, and also you don't want this to get to coach or anything like that. So you kind of just you know, you just hold it all in. If you find one safe person, you start talking to them about it. But for me, I was dividing myself from the team just because if I was around softball, if I heard about softball, anything softball, it literally just fired up anxiety within me, like almost making me sick to my stomach. I just hated it. Like like the fear of failure started coming in within me. And anytime, you know, after I rehabbed and I got to play, I was always scared to fail and just always scared to mess up. Even if I got an opportunity, I just lost all of my confidence. I had so much anxiety, all this stuff. This continued all throughout freshman year till the end of freshman year, started sophomore year, thought it was gonna be different, had a coaching change, everything like that. Thought it was gonna be different, wasn't different. Felt like there were a lot of mind games being played. I wasn't confident at all. I just wasn't the player, honestly, that I was when I got into college. When I got into college and stepped foot on campus, and through the fall, I was such a confident athlete. I was confident in my abilities and my skills. And then when I started going through college, I lost all that confidence. If there is one thing that you need to be a successful college athlete, it is confidence. And that is knowing that you are there for a reason, that your coaches literally chose you and recruited you to be there for a reason, and that God has equipped you with the skills. He's literally gifted you with athletic ability to perform. And also you gotta trust your training. I was working so hard, literally all the time training, and I just didn't trust it when I got in a game. And anyway, it ended up with me just like feeling super anxious, and I developed this hate for softball. I literally started hating it. After sophomore year, I just really prayed about it, thought about it, and I actually ended up quitting. There's no like hard feelings with the coaches, any of the athletes or anything like that. I just had to remove myself. I had to separate. The transfer portal wasn't a thing when I was in college, so if that was a thing when I was in college, I would have probably transferred to play at a different school just to get a fresh start, fresh feel, see if I could just go, you know, regain that confidence and have a successful experience at another school. So that was kind of my experience. Now here are some of the things that I learned from that experience, because as you can tell, my experience was a struggle. It was hard. I was seeking advice from people on how to deal with all of this. I started hating the sport. It started becoming like a job. I didn't look forward to practices. I didn't look forward to games. I feared failure all the time. It was just honestly just this, it was a downward spiral. And I always loved the gym. Like, I loved working out. I loved doing all of that stuff. But when it came to practice, I hated practice. Hated practice. Driving to the facility gave me anxiety, and like, it was terrible. I just had, again, zero confidence. So now let's go into some of these talking points that I wrote down and items that I learned. So we'll go over, let's shoot for 3 to 5. We'll go over 3 to 5. If there has been one thing that I have really reflected upon, and God has laid this lesson on my heart to speak to current athletes, current college athletes, or future college athletes, or even people that are transitioning into a career in their world, I've had to speak this in my life. It is own the role that God has you in. And if I look back at my college athletic experience, I wish that I would have owned the role a little bit better where God had me. So I got hurt, so I instantly became a bench warmer. If I'm being completely honest, I sat the bench like it was my job. Like, that's what I was. I was a bench warmer. And the way that I could have owned that role even better is just honestly, this sounds so stupid, being the best bench player that I could be, you know, picking up any player that needed picked up, bringing them their glove, their helmet, watching the game so intently to where I was giving advice, taking statistics, being the best bench warmer in practices where I'm making my teammates who are starters better. And I feel like I did that to a little bit of an like, I did that physically, but mentally I was still like, why me? Why me? Sophomore year, I did this much better than freshman year. Freshman year, I was constantly, why me? Why me? Sophomore year, I had a little bit of a mindset shift because I was probably the 10th athlete off the bench. So 9 people play on a field in softball. And so when coach needed to put someone in, it was usually me. So I constantly had to be game ready. But I just feel like I could have owned that a little bit better. And so my advice to all like athletes that I disciple or athletes that I mentor is like, you gotta own the role that you're in. If you're on a team and you're the starting pitcher, you have to be like, you gotta fight to be the best starting pitcher. You gotta talk strategy. You better be communicating with your catcher every single time you're in the dugout. You gotta be communicating with the coach. How can I throw these pitches better? What's my spin looking like? All these things. If you're the shortstop, you gotta be the leader of the infield. If you're the center fielder, you gotta be the leader of the outfield. If you're the catcher, you gotta be a leader. You're the battery with your pitcher. Like, you gotta own the role that God has you in. If you are the bench warmer, you have got to be the best bench warmer. You have to stay locked in to the game. You gotta be able to help the athletes that are on the field, help coaches with whatever they need, pick up equipment, like help people warm up. Be the best bench player that you can be in practices and make your starters even better, like go super hard. And so those are really things, like, no matter where you are, you can still add value. You can still serve God with your abilities. You can still serve others on your team with where you are. And then while you're owning your role, in the background, be working super duper duper hard. Let nobody outwork you. And I feel like specifically my dad has ingrained that in me. So even when I was sitting on the bench, I would work super hard. And I say that with full humility, but like, that was my discipline. I was going to go hit before practice. I was gonna go hit after practice. I was gonna take some more extra ground balls. I was gonna get, just stay in the weight room and do some extra. Like, I was trying to work super hard. Now, I kind of overdid it to where it became a mental issue, but you have to own the role where God has you, especially in college, because you come in and you're probably a hot shot on your high school team, and then you get to college and you get a rude awakening that you're not the best anymore. But you got to own that role wherever God has you, wherever your coach has placed you, wherever your coach needs you that specific season, and be working really, really hard behind the scenes to get better at your skills and your mindset, get better in the classroom, be the best teammate, bond with your teammates, whatever it may be. So that is my number one. That is the first point that I want to talk about. Let's go to number 2. The second point that really, really, really helped me when I was in college athletics and I was facing so much anxiety, so much stress, lost all my confidence, everything like this. I literally started looking for churches in my community. In my college town, I started Googling churches. I would try to go to a service, usually on Saturday nights because we played Sunday morning. But I would try to go to services. I was listening to podcasts. I wanted to get plugged into a ministry, specifically a college ministry, because I wanted to get in a community where I feel like I could get help and be pushed in my faith, because I knew, especially sophomore year of my college experience, when I was growing in my faith, I had such a better mindset when it came to practice, games, whatever, service, like serving other teammates, being a great leader, being the best teammate that I could be, being the best just athlete for a coach that I could be. And so I would totally highly recommend getting plugged into a ministry, because also you're gonna meet friends that aren't athletes, and that is so important, because having conversations that are not sport related or sport focused help you detach from it. And when you get to detach from it, even for a little bit, it stops that cycle of stress and anxiety, and it helps you focus on something else and grow. And when you bring your when you bring your relationship with Jesus into anything, he is going, like, it needs to be centered around him, and seek him first and all other things will be added. Seek him first and he will do whatever he can with the anxiety. He's going to carry it off of you and for you. Seek him first and he's going to show you how you can become a better athlete. Seek him first and he will reveal to you if this is the right fit for you, or maybe you need to transfer. Seek him first and he is going to show you how you can have conversations with your teammates and your college coaches. So that is my second piece of advice. That 1 and 2, those go pretty hand in hand, but find a college ministry or a church in your community or college town that you can get really plugged into so that you can start growing in your faith. That is so, so, so important. When I started doing that, it changed the game for me sophomore year. Third thing, the advice that I would give to an incoming freshman, future college athlete, or current college athlete that's really struggling, and that is evaluate the friendships that you are desiring. This is for any college student actually, but especially when you are struggling in your college sport and you feel like you're alone and maybe you're not clicking with your team, you need to evaluate the type of friendships that you're wanting. Or maybe you are clicking with a couple of your friends, but you realize you're getting into situations that you're like, I have never been in these situations and I don't necessarily know if these align with my values, and I'm completely changing because I'm trying to fit in instead of holding firm to the values that I have in my life that I came into college with, and now I don't even know who I am, and you're very lost on your identity. Evaluate the friendships that you are desiring, because you are a product of your environment. And so especially too, if you are complaining a lot as a college athlete, are you surrounded by friends who are complaining a lot? Because you are going to be a product of that, because you continue to hang out with them. And now I had some great friends on the college softball team, but also I evaluated what kind of friends I had. I met a lot of friends through my college ministry, very like-minded with me, held the same values as me, and were just really able to encourage me and empower me as I was going through a really tough season. And I started to feel like I wasn't alone anymore. Because when you're going through the college experience and you feel like you're walking through it alone, it is so hard, because you are literally just a little bleep in a sea of people at your university. And then also, maybe evaluate, like, do you have friends in your major? Because for me, it was so much fun. I was a business major. It was so much fun creating friendships within my major, because when we traveled, not only were we friends, but they would take notes for me. They would help me in my education, and you know, what lessons I was missing, what projects was I missing, and they were just helping fill me in. So when I returned from the trip, I could see their notes, take notes off of that, and just be really able to talk with them of what went on in class. And then also just talk about, like, they were interested in business as well. So was I. We could talk about our future careers. Like, anytime you can just talk with people, maybe outside of your sport, that, like, this goes hand in hand. Create friends outside of your sport. Because anytime you're able to talk with people outside of your sport, you can kind of detach again from your sport and also talk about some other things that you're interested in. Like, for me, my number one is faith. So meeting friends at my college ministry was so, so amazing for me, because I could have those deep conversations about faith that really just, like, sparked something within me that actually helped me be a better athlete on the field. And then also, like, creating friendships in my business major not only helped me with class, but also just talking about our futures together, dreaming together, just being able to talk about different things that I was actually interested in as well that weren't sport related. So that would be number 3. Really evaluate before you get to college, and maybe if you're in college right now, what friendships are you desiring? Who are you wanting to become? Because again, you are a product of your environment. fourth thing that I want to talk about, that if I were back in college and going through this situation from day one, the day I stepped foot on campus, I would tell myself this as a college athlete, and that is stand firm in your values and don't fall to peer pressure. Because when you are specifically, in my experience in athletics, there are things that you might feel peer pressured to do. And that is, like for me, I'm gonna be completely honest, like I never partied in high school, never drank a sip of alcohol. I actually do not like alcohol. Like that is just with past experience in my life, I don't like it. And I felt like I had a lot of these values that have been placed in me within my family and just my faith and everything like that. And when I stepped foot on campus, like I started losing sight of those values because I wanted to fit in. And so I was peer pressured to doing things that I didn't want to do. And not only is that another reason why you should create these friendships outside of your sport, because then they're people that you can hang out with when maybe some of your teammates or friends within the athletic community are doing things that you don't necessarily agree with. You can go hang out with them. But like, don't be afraid to say no. Like literally, who cares? You are going to get 10 years down the line and you are not going to think twice about that situation of why you said no. And also, when I got into my sophomore year and I just reached this point in my freshman year, was like, I am not doing that anymore. I am not partying, I'm not drinking. That is literally not me. Like, I don't want to do that anymore. That is not who I am. When I just kept saying no and just holding firm to my values, people actually really respected it. Like, I'd have baseball people come up to me. Someone would be trying to offer me a drink. There'd be baseball people coming up to me like, hey, dude, no, like she doesn't drink. And I'm like, that is the best thing ever. Like people started protecting me because I just knew like that wasn't who I was. And so don't be afraid to say no. You don't have to fall into peer pressure if that does not align with your values. Like honestly, if they're trying to get you to do that to fit in, are those really people that you want to fit in with? And so if I were able to go back the first moment that I stepped foot on campus, I would just hold this, strict, firm values that I'm not going to do that. Like if that is something that does not align with who I am, these values that I have in my life, it's a no. It's a no for me. I'm just going to say it off the bat. Doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with you. Does not mean I'm judging you. But I'm just saying that does not fit into my lifestyle and I just don't want to do it. But I'll still be there to socialize, but I just don't want to do that. So don't fall into peer pressure just to fit in. Fifth one, last and certainly not least, and I actually just posted a reel about this on my Instagram today. So if you want to go check it out, at Jill Catherine Klein, that's my username, and you can go look me up on Instagram and maybe give me a follow and like it and just watch the reel that I posted. You don't have to like it, but anyway. This is my fifth and final thing, and that is don't have a victim mentality, have an ownership mentality. If you get into college athletics and it's not exactly what you thought it was gonna be, and to me, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was gonna be. I had dreamed about playing in college my whole life. I had literally worked so hard to get recruited, so hard to earn the scholarship, and I got there and it was honestly for a little bit awful, like if I'm being completely honest. But instead of having a victim mentality, instead of having a mentality of, why aren't they serving me? I don't feel valued. I don't feel appreciated. You start complaining a lot. You start thinking the world is against you. You start throwing yourself a pity party. Instead of having that, shift your perspective to have an ownership mentality. See it for what it is. Okay, this is not exactly what I thought it was gonna be, but I can still have impact, I can still make a difference, and I can still use my skills to serve wherever I am. I'm gonna hold it out for this season, I'm gonna finish the season, and after the season, I will reevaluate. Maybe I will enter the transfer portal, but until the end of the season comes, I'm gonna stay in the moment right where I am, and I'm going to own this moment and be able to serve my team, serve my coaches very, very well, and just work super, super hard. So don't get into this rut of complaining, because when you complain, it's just gonna tear you down even more. But get into this perspective of, I'm on a college softball team. This is something, or I'm on a college whatever team, basketball, volleyball, whatever it may be, baseball, football, whatever it may be. I'm on soccer. I'm on this college team. This is a dream come true. I am not gonna waste this moment by literally complaining and think of all of the what ifs and think that the world is against me. I'm gonna still use it. Yes, I'm not playing. I'm not a starter. Coach doesn't even look at me at practice. I don't get any second chances. There's nothing. Maybe you and coach don't even get along. Maybe you and your team don't even get along. There's still a reason that you're there, okay? There's still a reason that God has you handpicked on that team, and you can still have impact. You got to own the opportunity. Don't waste any of your time. Time is our biggest resource, and when you get to the other side of that season, are you going to want to look back and say, I just wasted so much time complaining instead of owning the opportunity that God had me in to impact in some sort of way and literally glorify Him with being an athlete on this team, being an athlete in this program, being an athlete at this university? So don't have a victim mentality, have an ownership mentality. That takes a lot of reflection. You're gonna feel conviction, and you're gonna have to change that perspective, okay? So that one's gonna be probably the toughest one. Again, those were just 5 things that after I have reflected. I've been out of college for 2 years now. I graduated with my undergrad 2 years ago, and I actually quit college softball after my sophomore year again, but actually my junior year, I became the manager of my team because again, I didn't have any hard feelings with my coach, and I actually got to run our social media and just be, you know, there to help with the team, whatever they needed of me. And then COVID hit, so like that was COVID. But yeah, so I have been out of college for a little bit now, but as I still continue to work with athletes, I speak with athletes, I continue to just grow my faith and lead teams. These are things that I'm able to reflect upon and be able to realize that maybe I didn't do the best job about them when I was in college. And so I've been able to write them down, and these are some of the pieces of advice from my experience that I'm able to give to others. And so that's why I kind of just wanted to hop on and make this video today. I know that when I was an athlete and I was really going through a struggle season, I would go on YouTube and I would look up like when to know that you should quit your college sport. How are you feeling when you're going through a college sport? A day in the life of a college athlete, just because I wanted to see what they went through. And so that's kind of why I wanted to create this. I don't know if any college athletes will watch this, but maybe just one will, and if one is impacted, then that means that this video was well worth it. And so if you don't mind, give this video a like. It really just helps my channel. And then also subscribe. We're almost at 200 subscribers, so that is absolutely amazing. I'm gonna try to get this up soon. And also share it. Like, if you're a college athlete and you're watching this and you know someone that's really going through a hard season, send this to them, because people, I was there. I struggled so hard. Literally connect with me on Instagram, DM me. I don't have a ton of followers, so I will for sure be able to see your DM. I'd love to talk about it with you. I actually have a lot of people in my small group through my college ministry who are college athletes who I get to mentor and just help as they're going through the same situations. And it's just such a blessing that God has been able to use this experience in my life to use me as a vehicle to tell about Him, and to just also be there for other people, walk alongside them and offer them a little bit of wise counsel, I feel like. So anyway, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hope you stick around to watch a couple other of my videos. So anyway, thank you so much. Comment in the comments if this was able to help you, if this was impactful, if you're sharing this with somebody. I would love to know, just because I love sports still, and I just love being intertwined still with the college athletic community. Anyway, bye guys.